Um, Voting members, Councilor Councilor Large Paul Payano, Vice Chair, Councilor Mark LaPlante, District F, myself, the chair of this committee, the Housing Committee. We're going to proceed with the approval of the previous minutes, which I believe they were, okay, we go back into the minutes later on. Pursuant to Governor Baker, March 12, 2020, order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 orders imposing a strict limitation on a number of people that might gather in one place. This meeting is being conducted via remote participation, not in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access to the proceedings as provided in this order. A reminder that that the person who would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress might do so of any of the following access location: the Facebook page for the Lawrence City Council and the YouTube page for the Lawrence City Council. Good evening, everybody. Today we have one item on the agenda, which is item 25420, the new business. And this is the discontinuance of a concourse and Bradford Street between Hampshire and Amesbury Street. We would like to hear from the administration as of why we want those two streets to be discontinued. Councilors, I would like to pass over the floor to Pedro Soto and Dan McCarthy, and also Roy Basque, which is here tonight, to be able to discuss this as of why we need this. And later on, we're going to open the floor to any councilor. So go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Rodriguez. For the record, my name is Pedro Soto, Planning Director with the City of Lawrence. If I could actually have the permission to share my screen, I'd love to show an overview of where kind of center us and what we're going to kind of discuss, if possible. I can share my screen and see.
John, could you please make Pedro Soto share his screen?
I think I'm on here.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on, what's this? Can you guys see that? Can you see that?
Not yet.
I can't.
Oh. All right, 1 second. How's that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Well, I do want to start with like a quick overview of the project. I do want to ask to have this matter tabled. We do need to get some more information for all of you to make an informed decision, but I did want to give a quick overview of what it is that we're going to be presenting in the weeks to come. So as you all know, the City of Lawrence is in the process of going through the planning phases and then design and hopefully construction in a shorter time period than 3.5 years, but we're constructing a new police department. And the lot that we're going to be constructing on is actually the current parking lot across the street from the current police station. There's Concord Street behind the fire station and the lot, as well as Bradford Street. Both of those streets have been identified by the project manager and folks that are in the steering committee as potential areas that we may want to use for the construction of the police station. So there is discussion of, I guess I should give you a quick overview of kind of where we are in the project. We just contracted with CHA for a project manager, the city's the owner's project manager, who will be managing the process to get a designer on board and ultimately get an RFP out for construction to help us with that whole process. One of the initial stages really is programming, which is basically understanding what it is that the police station needs to do to perform, or the building needs to perform certain functions to facilitate, services of the police station. We need to understand what those areas are, and then a design is created to respond to those needs. So we're really early in the design phase right now, but we're here to ultimately, what we'd like to do is use Concord Street to construct kind of second and third floors above it, and then construct kind of like a tunnel that we would call a sally port. I think it's the term that's used in the police station kind of lingo, and that will allow the police station to be secured from the rear, and vehicles, emergency vehicles, to enter in the sally port, bring in prisoners or folks that they need to interrogate safely through the rear part of the police station. I want to go down into Bradford Street. Bradford Street would be kind of an outlet. So we would like to discontinue Concord Street, but Bradford Street would like to create a dead end. And these are all things that we anticipate, coming back before you and providing you more information. We just don't have it right this second, but this is the street that we would ask to be altered to create a dead end. If I can maneuver here, this is the street here, Concord, that we would create the sally port. As part of the decision making, what we need to present to you is a survey of all the utilities, both city water and sewer, as well as private utilities, electrical and fiber optic and things of that nature. So we met with DPW last week and engineering, and they're in the process of, we have that information, we're kind of making sense of it now. There is further assessment that needs to happen in order to really capture what the impact will be, the cost to actually do that construction. So we don't have that information just yet. We also do need to present a survey from a land surveyor of the streets that we actually want to discontinue and alter. So we don't have that just yet, but we want to give a quick overview of what the intent is for the project. I know that's a really, really high level, explanation of what it is that we're trying to do. But again, just wanted to give you a quick overview. I don't know if you have anything to add, Dan or Chief Vask. There's no further comment. I will formally ask to have this item tabled until we have more information. My hope is that we can be ready for the next hearing on the 21st of this month to provide more information. With that, I'll leave it up to, I just noticed Franklin's on. Franklin, I don't know if you have any other thing to add.
Well, I would like to extend the floor to either Will Bask or anybody else, then McCarthy. Franklin, you to add anything on this?
Well, if you like, I can. There are a few the caretaking type of items that have to be done, and I can go through that list fairly quickly. All motions of this sort have to go before the planning board, and they have to review it and make a recommendation for up to the full council. At that time, it's also a requirement of state law. We have to give notice to every person who has an address or has land or frontage on either of the public ways that are going to be done. So that meeting is scheduled for early January in front of the planning board. That would be conducted, and we would draft a report coming back. We would provide notice to all the abutters on what would be the nature of the taking. There's other, at that point, we'd probably need an accurate land survey to come back and identify the meets and bounds of the street. We have to do an accurate description to the state whenever we discontinue a street. And that would be a requirement. I think that would probably be it on the planning side, if you have any questions.
So essentially, for Concord Street, this is basically the whole process, but to make the other side of the street, Bradford, right?
Yes.
That's at that end. You don't need to do through. You don't have to go through that process. It's just a dead end formation.
But we would need to alter that street from a street that is a pass through to a dead end. So we would be doing the same type of process for it, except it's a different treatment.
There is anybody else on that? I mean, I know we have Roy Basque there.
Councilor, thank you. I would just add that the reason for the taking is to make the project work for the size of the plot, for the size of the square footage that we need to make an appropriate size building. The taking of the land is essential because the land to the right of the plot, the giant glass property, is not going to be something that we're able to manage taking in terms of cost. So this is an alternative to that. And I would also say that in the end, when the designer gets involved, there may be a situation where this, after they get involved and do their process, maybe that this, it is possible that they say that we don't need the taking of the street. So there is some what ifs, but we figured we need to proceed thinking that we're going to need the land. So that's kind of why we're doing this process.
All right, so that's what I figured. We are on the very early age process of even the design or the planning portion of the project. So it is good to have everything in place, but I'm assuming that we as a council going to take a final vote once we see an actual design that is actually needed to be able to take that road. Because I mean, most of the footage or the daily traffic for that street might be the fire department or residents from Bradford Street that have the in and out, and also the church that is St. Mary Church that is right there. So before we do anything, we need to ensure that we are all on board that this is going to be part of the design. Councilors, we have a very informative meeting in terms of what we have in front of us, taking over discontinuing a road that is in the very early age of the planning section, the permitting, not even the permitting, the planning section. So, Councilor, I would like to open the floor to anybody that would like to speak on this behalf.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Payano.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just a quick question. When do the presenters believe that they'll be able to get us more information on the project? I know that it sounds like there are certain pieces that they might be waiting for, but I'm just wondering if this is going to be a month or a much longer time period.
Councilor Payano, yeah, it's a really, really good question. Our hope is to be able to provide you more information for the upcoming meeting on the 21st. I do know that there are 3 separate moving pieces that we're waiting for. The survey that we mentioned earlier, a report from the utilities, and a finalized report from DPW/engineering. So there's a few kind of missing pieces even within those 3 items. There's some subtasks that need to be completed, but we're hoping that the next meeting we can provide most of that, and we'll have to assess at the beginning of next week kind of where we are and then plan accordingly. But for our purposes, we intend to provide you information as quickly as possible so that we can get it to the floor of the council as expeditiously as possible. So short answer, my hope is the 21st of this month, if not the second week of the following month.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, that sounds, thank you very much for your answer. That sounds fairly quickly, I figured with the holidays that might slow things down. That's why I said,
Yeah.
maybe we'd see something next month. Yeah, my second question is, it sounds like, on one end, we're moving to, essentially closing down most of that street, but I also am hearing that there's some movement to, like, we haven't really entered the design part yet. So, is the reasoning behind this just to allow whoever is the company is designing this new station, more land to use? Is it possible that they might not need that? Because I think, it all depends on how you would design the station.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to allow Chief Vass some time. I think he brought this up a little bit earlier, and I can follow up on his response.
Sure, I would say that based on the lot size and working with Franklin Miguel on the lot size and what square footage is available, given we need certain frontage, we need parking, visitor access and cruiser parking. Based on those estimates, it looks like we need the street. So our best guess is that we're going to need the street. However, once a designer gets on board and they start doing their, working their magic, there may be some things that we need or don't need. And when the design gets all hashed out, maybe there's another way. But all of our eyes looking at this, it appears that we're going to be a little short. And then the good thing we have going for us is that it looks like there's only, I believe, 3 residents on Bradford Street, and the St. Mary's parking lot, they have 2 other accesses in and out. They don't, this part of the street that we're taking isn't one of their routes out. As a matter of fact, one of their routes comes right out to the back of the fire station, which would not be blocked. And on the fire department side, the way their trucks are situated, they come in and out the same way. So not having Bradford Street doesn't affect them because their vehicles are facing forward to Lowell Street when they exit. So they're either going to go left or right to Lowell Street. And when they come back to the station, they're going to come back to Hampshire Street and wrap back into the building. So they don't really access the Bradford or the Concord Street side coming from Amesbury Street very often. If they did, it would be personal vehicles. And as you know, there's not many of them that are housed in the headquarters there. So the obstruction to them or the inconvenience to them would be minor. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything more on that, Pedro.
Yeah, what I'd add is just to have this visual here of the actual site. Chief mentioned earlier that this site here on the end, the giant glass site, was something that the city tried to acquire, and it's not possible that the market value or the asking price exceeded the market value for that. So because we don't have that site to build on, we have to make the most of the site that we do have control over, which is the parking lot area and Concord and Bradford as an outlet. So we're doing this kind of preemptively in the hopes to give the designers the most square footage to work with. And once we get through design, it could be that this space becomes available, but we don't know that. So we're going to move forward as if it's never going to be available. And we're making the best use of the space that we do have control over.
Thank you.
Sure.
Councilor Plum, do you have any questions?
I do, thank you. Just one question for now, and then maybe 2 others in the future. I don't expect an answer this evening. The question for now is what is the plan for the old police station? Are we going to demolish that? We're not going. That's not staying up, is it? I mean, we're taking that down, right?
If you want me to speak on it, I will, Pedro. So
Sure.
the plan is there basically to flip-flop the current situation that we have now. So in building a new police station, because of the square footage limitations of the lot, we're going to be looking for alternative parking. So in talking to the mayor, we're going to try to do a separate sort of project where we take the current building down and make a sort of 2-level parking deck there for the parking that, we currently have, across the street now. So the idea would be to use that for all of our personal vehicles and overflow equipment like we are currently using now.
All right, thank you. And I guess the two things that I don't expect an answer right now, but just expect me to ask these questions when this gets a little more serious or when we're looking for a vote. One is, this looks like a home run. No matter, I mean, it's going to be hard to not do really well on this. Seemingly, there's a lot of support for a new police station, and you could put almost anything there, and many of us are going to end up supporting it, is my guess, because we have been needing this for so long. Having said that, I just want to know what, not now, of course, but have you anticipated, or what expectations from a negative aspect have you considered that we need to mitigate or look at when this thing goes full out? I like to know, before we can get too involved, what kind of blowback, if we support this, do we feel? And when I say blowback, it can be very minor, quite frankly, because it could be such a home run of a project, but just something to consider. No projects are over 100% perfect. And so there's always a little something that we need to consider. So I just be curious as to what that is, as the plans are drawn and things go forward. That's one. And the second thing is, whenever we start these projects, everybody always asks this fundamental question: when is it going to be operational? And so I heard a little bit about the time frames, about us looking at reviewing the schematics and the plans and going to planning board. But everybody always wants to know, well, when are you going to put the shovels in the ground? And when is our first police phone call and the first police going into that building going to take place? When can they expect? So I don't expect that answer right now. If you've got it, that's great. But that's something that, we'll probably need an answer to. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Counselor. I would, answer those in more details in subsequent meetings. But just to give you guys a number one, a quick kind of parting thought here. I think one of the goals that we've identified already with the steering committee, police department design, from what we hear from DCAM and others involved in projects of this scale. In the past, 30, 40 years, police stations, I would say maybe in the past 20 years, police stations have become, its construction design, they really try to make it a permeable kind of facade between the community and the police station. So it's more inviting to the citizenry. And, we are a minority community in Lawrence. So we want to make sure that it is as welcoming as it can be for the citizens who may, not feel comfortable, or I want to make it really welcoming so everybody feels comfortable walking in and getting services, or just engaging with the police in general. So that's a theme that's evolved kind of in police station design and construction. So I think it's a theme that if there's any issue that comes up, really it's going to be kind of this fortifying kind of, question lately that we've been hearing in the national kind of consciousness. But our hope really is to create a welcoming space where everybody feels comfortable. So that may be something that we need to address later on, but we feel confident that we'll be able to do that well. So.
Mr. Chairman, one more thing that just sparked a question. I don't need to answer now. Any one of you or all of you, if you don't mind sending to me or letting me know, is there a police station you have in mind right now that encompasses what you think a Lawrence Police Department should look like? Is it something in Brookline? Is it something in Wellesley? Is it something in Lowell? Is it something in North Andover? I don't know what you're thinking, but if you give me an idea, through you, Mr. Chairman, of what it is you think is that what you just talked about, Mr. Soto, something that's, that takes into the 21st century situation that we're seeing ourselves into, and you're trying to anticipate things. And then maybe the others that are part of this are thinking either the same way or differently. I'd be curious to see what you have in mind that's already existing. Thank you.
Yeah, I could take a stab at that. And I know, I don't know if Chief is still on. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would not point to a specific design per se. We did tour the Lynn Police Department recently. and it's a much larger site. And you know, its design reflected the needs of Lynn. But what I think is important for Lawrence really is the way that the flow of services from like one division to the next. The design needs to serve that role. So I think that's something that can be achievable on the site. So I don't have any preference so much on design, but I think the function of it has to be one that really serves the community well, and the culture of the police department kind of working really closely together to deliver services. So that's kind of what I would offer for that. I know Chief has a lot of favorites for the Chief.
I would just say that, to your point, Pedro, it's going to be a unique building, state-of-the-art building. A lot of money invested. Some of the buildings that we've seen, Lynn is 15 years old. It is the size of our building based on the personnel that they have. However, you know, it's 15 years old, much more technology advanced. Ours will be everything from energy savings to all of those things. So I've had the you know, the opportunity to look at Medford, just opened up a week ago. Beautiful building, actually designed by this same OPM CHA. So what we've been doing is trying to go around, get all the ideas, all the best sort of practices from all these other new police stations and facilities, and trying to steal them, if you will, and incorporate them into ours and into the flow like Pedro was talking about. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to design, or they're going to design, something very unique and you know, beautiful, if you will, state of the art for Lawrence. And I think it's going to be something that the community can be proud of. And I would say that to Pedro's earlier point about involving the community, we want that opening, that sort of welcoming feeling. And one of the main features that we're going to have on the first floor is that community room, that not only we'll be able to have meetings with the community, but the community will also be able to use for, you know, Girl Scout meetings and, you know, things of that nature that they can have on their own without the police involvement, if you will, or you know, oversight, if you will. So we want that sort of welcoming building for sure. But I think ours is going to be unique. But I think we're doing our research to try to get all the best ideas out there and try to incorporate them into making Lawrence a, you know, state-of-the-art #1 in the Commonwealth type building. So,
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. And Mr. Vass, thank you so much. I just looked at the clock and realized they're after 7 o'clock, and I just lost track of time. I know we have a committee of the whole meeting that's supposed to start 5 minutes ago. So I've got no more questions, and I'm anticipating, I'd be eager to make a motion to table at your recommendation.
Sure. There is a motion to table.
Second.
There's a second. I call a roll call. Mr. LaPont,
Yes.
Mr. Pian,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you so much. Can I
Thank
get
you so
a
much, Constance. Have a great
Motion to
night.
adjourn?
Second.
I call the questions. Councilor Plant,
Yes.
Councilor Bayano,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Thank
See you guys on the other Zoom meeting.